It's been a crazy day for people who are following cryptos, and I thought I'd run some. I did some math today just because I like doing heavy math, and again, I like talking about the cryptos. So if you're not a crypto follower, this might not be anything for you. But if you are curious about it, let me just run something down for you. Used to be when I first discovered Bitcoin, I didn't know enough about it to know that, or it took me a little while before it kicked in and said, hey, you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. Like, I think at the time they were $800 a Bitcoin. I'm like, I'm not gonna just throw $800 at this. So I think what I ended up doing was throwing $80 and getting like a tenth of a Bitcoin. And that's when it kind of clicked. I'm like, oh, you don't have to buy a full one. So I'm gonna explain the Bitcoin and the satoshis, which is what makes up the Bitcoin. I'm gonna go with that real quick. So one Bitcoin is equal to 100 million satoshis. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 zeros to the back end of or one with 8 zeros. 100 million satoshis equals a single Bitcoin. So you can buy like satoshis. You can buy like the smallest amount is like one satoshi, 1/100 millionth of a Bitcoin. You can do that. Not gonna be worth a whole bunch right now, but that you can do that. So I started asking the question, like, we know that there are only, Bitcoin is limited to how many that are ever going to be mined. I think the mathematics say 25 million, but they say in reality you'll get, when we finally top out in about 2040 when they're all mined, or as it gets close to them all being mined, in circulation you're probably only going to get about 17 million, because you're going to get some that are lost and some that take forever to be mined, and some that just kind of sit in accounts and on flash drives that never get found. So 17 million of them in circulation. So let's say, I'm thinking in my head, well, how many satoshis does that equal in circulation? So I did the math on that. Obviously, it comes out at 1.7 quadrillion satoshis in circulation. I'm like, okay, so now I got how many would be out in circulation of satoshis, the pieces of Bitcoin. If there are 10, let's say at that point there are 10 trillion people on the planet. Like right now we're at 7. Not so terribly surprising if we get to 10 trillion by that point. If we equally distribute all those satoshis amongst the population of the planet, what does each person get? You get about 170,000 satoshis. All right, then that's like for your lifetime that you would accumulate 170,000 satoshis. If you're going to average it out evenly overall. Obviously, this is kind of fuzzy math, but I'm just trying to give you a sense of the magnitude here. So 170,000 satoshis, let's say he's worked 30 years to gain 170,000 satoshis. That would be on an average year, you'd get 5,666 satoshis as your annual salary. If there no more dollars, we're all working for satoshis now. 5,666. Like, I thought, does that seem like a weird number of somethings to get per year for an annual salary? So I wanted to know, like, what was the annual salary in dollar terms in 1950 in the United States? Turns out it was $3,300 a year. It was a household income in 1950s. Not that long ago, some time ago, not that long ago. But basically, they were able to do the math and to break up all their purchases and everything with a unit of measure that only equaled 3,300, for an annual salary. So 5,666 of something as annual salary is within the realm of generational memory. Like we could probably figure that out. So let's say your annual salary is 5,333 satoshis, and if that's what it comes down to. And let's say you got 0.1 Bitcoin, which in today's market would cost you about $1,200, 1/10 of a Bitcoin. 1/10 of a Bitcoin again is 10 million satoshis. So 5,333 or 5,666 satoshis in your annual salary, say $5,000, and having today 10 million satoshis, $10 million. Like that's an obscene amount of wealth. If Bitcoin ended up being like the thing that we started making so many satoshis a year, we transfer the whole system over to that. I'm not saying that that's in the cards, right? Because there are other cryptocurrencies that'll be traded around. So it won't only be the 17 million Bitcoins that are floating around. There'll be other currencies floating or money floating around besides just Bitcoin, Litecoin, and all the others. But even with all that, getting a tenth of a Bitcoin right now will likely set you up. There is a argument to be made that it could set you up and your family up for generational wealth for years and years to come. So what's stopping people from doing it right now? Well, they feel like it's not tangible. You can put it on a paper wallet, and you can see it on your it's not like the money you have in the bank account that when you log into your bank account, that's not in your hand either. Yes, there are paper bills that you can get from the bank to hold on to them, but you can print your own satoshi that represents, or rather, you can print your own paper wallet that represents your Bitcoin account. So it can be held in your hand, but it does feel weird. It feels different. They'll talk oftentimes if you look into researching this stuff, that when credit cards were first offered, back in the 50s and 60s, people were just weirded out by the idea that I give a piece of plastic, I don't have to write anything on a piece of paper like a check. And no, it was an awkward period for people, and some generations didn't catch on to the idea of using credit cards in order to do transactions. Now, of course, it's very easy for us to understand. Well, cryptocurrencies are going to be the same thing. It's going to be awkward at a time. But if you figure it out before everybody else figures it out, it puts you in the catbird seat, right? Like you're ahead of the game. So I encourage you to do some research and figure out. It's really not hard at all. You open up a Coinbase account, you link it to your bank account, you transfer some money in, or you just buy. Hit the buy buttons on your phone, and you buy a tenth of a Bitcoin, or you buy 10 Litecoins, or you buy you can't go wrong with the top 4, right? Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and Litecoin. I don't think you can go wrong. Not investment advice. I will do your own research, but recognize that what we're talking about, 10 million satoshis for $1,000. Said that way, 1/10 of a Bitcoin sounds kind of like not a lot of anything, but 10 million satoshis for $1,200 might be worth considering. All right, that's just some math, because I love math. I wrote down everything. All right, y'all be good. Talk to you soon. Cheers. So you like movie quotes, and you got to be dressed anyways. Why don't you check out my Threadless store and get all the Earl t-shirts you can handle.